welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Now let's get to our main conversation for today. The National Association of Nigerian Students, Nans, led by President Comrade Emonefe Loki, has commended the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Nelfund, and its managing director, Mr. Suya Akitunde, for ensuring a transparent and merit-based process in the disbursement of student loans nationwide. In a statement issued over the weekend, Nans expressed confidence in the agency's commitment to equity and accountability, noting the absence of external political interference in the loan allocation process. The association described the initiative spearheaded by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a timely intervention aimed at significantly enhancing access to quality education for Nigerian students, which aligns with the renewed hope agenda of the administration. According to EFE, students from all regions are benefiting without the need for recommendations or undue favors, underscoring the policy fairness and effectiveness. We still have with us Olajumoke Alawode. James, thank you so very much for hanging on.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get to the crux of the matter here. Nelfund and Nans. Of course, when we look at Nans, it's no longer looking like the Nans we used to know before. In the 80s, the 90s, and Nans was a pressure group that, of course, was always there to bring the feet of those in authority to the fire. You know, when Nans, of course, when it was Nans, they actually were there to hold the people in authority accountable for some of the things that they are not doing right. Just a couple of months back, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his team gifted them bags of rice. So is it surprising that Nans is coming up to congratulate the president for Nelfund? And let's not forget, they've just disbursed about 600,000 to students, so they said. And we have millions of students that are yet to take advantage of this opportunity. Speak to us.
Quick clarification, 60,000 students or 600,000 students?
They said 600,000.
600,000 is a huge number. If you look at the population of Nigerians, even though there are millions of them, right? But 600,000 is a huge number. The reason it will seem minute to us is because we have a huge population of over 200 million people in Nigeria. But student loans are commendable all over the world. No student who is academically fit to pursue a higher degree should be denied that because, for instance, they lost their parents or they do not have guardians that can help them with that. Those were the ideas behind student loans, where you could get an education because government has given you loans to do that, and then when you start work, imagine being a first-class student and you have to drop out of school because you couldn't afford tuition. You know, they say education is not cheap anywhere in the world. If you say it is, you should try literacy, right? But as a first-class student, for instance, you get that loan, you get out of school, you get a job immediately because you're a brilliant student. And once you start working, you can pay back that loan. And another student who is just getting into the university can also get the same access, you know, to fund their education. I know, for instance, that in Finland, they have 100% illiteracy and education rate. 100% literacy, No, it is illegal for a Finnish not to go to school. And if you then decide to pursue a higher education or go the vocational way, it's your decision. Coming straight back to Nigeria, that Nans is congratulating the Tinubu government is not surprising. We have weaponized poverty in Nigeria. You and I joked around talking about if somebody explains Nigeria to you. Nans of old was about the students' welfare. Nans, after the military, right, cornered them, became about selfish interest. Because if you had integrity, they will take you down, you know, find a way to remove you rather than do your 4 years in the university and go your merry way, you'd find that you were spending 8-10 years in the university because you were expelled and all sorts of funny things. Parents didn't want that for their children, and so Nans became, look, oh, if you cannot beat them, join them. The Nans presidents were driving SUVs with federal government plates on them.
Yeah.
You know, so since they became a finger of the federal government, you don't expect that they would go against their own benefactors. You know, you will also find the people leading Nans most times they're in their 40s or 50s. Yeah. When the average student in this jet age is from teen age to mid 20s, you know. I mean, NYSC even cuts off at 30. You will find people of 40 and things saying that, oh, we are Nans, Luta continua, you know. So every association in Nigeria, you can look at NLC and pretty much say the same thing. NLC of old used to represent the people. NLC today, if they call NLC today, if they call for a protest, like they were trying to call protest against new power tariff. No. New communication tariff. Yeah. They're trying to increase the rates that we pay for our mobile phones and things like that. They're trying to call a protest. Nobody will join them. We no longer trust them. You know, so that's what has become of Nans and any association that government has a buy-in or a leg in, where they're giving the leadership, you know, some stipends to ensure that they are complying with whatever the government is doing, rather than, you remember the days of Ali Must Go. That's what, you know, patriotism was about. It's not the same today, unfortunately. Coming back to the issue of where are the students that have gotten the loans? Exactly. Maybe I'm too far away from the academic institutions to know, right? Maybe there are some students who have gotten these loans. We'll be hoping that they will come out to tell us that it is real. I do not want to believe that 600,000 students would not have collected, you know, or that is a lie. I don't want to believe that. But I'm just hoping that, because when the idea was sold, some of us who criticized it, it was the terms attached to those loans that seemed a little stringent. If you did not pay back within 2 years of graduating, you paid a fine or you were sent to 6 months in jail, something like that. It seemed a little stringent. So if a student can truly find other means of paying their tuition aside from these loans, it's better that they just stay away from them.
Very, very true, because 600,000 is a very huge number, and we actually intend to do an investigative work on that particular story to see really if Nigerian students are holding up to this particular loan, because the cry is still very large there. Nigerians can still pay what is due them. At some point at UI, students were crowdfunding themselves just to pay for school fee at the point they were supposed to sit for exams. But let's speak to the issue of the Nelfund saying that they can only support courses of high demands. What that means is that disciplines in the humanities, arts and social sciences are exempted. Tell me, this classism, is it good enough?
I think we need to encourage pursuing the sciences in Nigeria, actually. A lot of us who were not very good in mathematics, you know, run away from the sciences. And it is obvious that it affects our economy, where everything we ought to produce ourselves we're importing because we do not have the wherewithal, the expertise to produce these things ourselves. I do not say there's classism in that regard, looking at it from that point of view, that since we cannot afford to give all the students who want loans, it's easier to say we want to encourage the sciences, we want to encourage ICT, for instance, you know, computer science and all of that, rather than somebody who is just going to the entertainment industry, art, and things like that, or read government or things like that, they also are not as expensive to pursue like the sciences are. You know, the materials that you would need as a science student or somebody reading architecture or estate management may not be the same that you would need as somebody pursuing fine arts or theater arts, or even mass communication is science in some universities. Anyway, I think it is prioritizing what does our economy need, right? And funding that, you know, saying lecturers go and do research in this regard will also ensure that you have students who are pursuing these degrees, because we have limited resources. All over the world, resources are always limited. You have to prioritize, draw up a list of priorities and say, what do I most need? What is most important to me? So in that regard, I won't call it classism. I will just say that while encouraging students in these, you know, disciplines, ensure that the loans do not become another means of corruption where you remember the Anchor Farmers loan.
Yeah.
The farmers did not repay the loans. They said they thought, oh, that Buhari gave them the money to go and marry more wives as compensation for them voting him. I hope that Nans, that is saying, well done, President Tinubu, will not then say, we thought because we were hailing you, you gave us the money, and we did not find jobs, so we cannot repay the loans. And you know that becomes a dead end immediately. If you allocate 1 trillion, for instance, for student loan, and the first set of students who take the loans never repay back, it is not a scheme that will continue to die a natural death.
But you and I know too very well. You and I know too very well that it will be difficult for Nigerian students to repay this loan. We all know, it's obvious. So let's not lie to ourselves. A larger number of Nigerians who benefited will not repay these loans.
Who am I to tell the Tinubu administration what to do with their money?
They will not repay this loan. But you spoke to the issue of prioritizing on what is most important. But the question is, don't you think we are rather prioritizing for other nations around the world? Because when we give so much attention to medicine, we give so much attention to IT, which are those the Nelfund are focusing on, at the end of the day, when the students come out of school with our Nelfund, they get poached by bigger countries around the world. So what are we really doing? Is this more like an incubation hub for the West?
Fantastic question, Henry. Fantastic question. There's a saying we have in the business world, which is if you do not train your staff, they will stay and it will be detrimental to your organization. If you do train them, they will go. I mean, everybody looks for greener pastures all over the world. It's a global phenomenon for people to migrate to where they will have a better life. What you ought to do as an organization is to ensure that their welfare is well taken care of. In public relations, we say that the first publics of any organization is the staff, the people who will sell your organization to other employees, to other fresh graduates who are looking for employment, will be your staff. They're looking good. They're well taken care of. You know how all of us used to aspire to work in banks or oil companies because they were the ones who drove the best cars. And then the network providers came, the MTN and Equanet and all of them, when they came, their own young staff were always the freshest, the bubbliest, you know, in the world. And not everybody wanted to now go and work at, you know, network companies. So if you, as a government, funding your students, right, by giving them loans to pursue their degrees in school, and then you do not create the enabling environment for them to find employment after work. When a fresh graduate is earning 80,000 and a bag of rice is 120,000, you think he's not going to go and look for a 1,000 naira job, $1,000 job in the US, you know, where nurses are paid better than most other employees. Or they will not chase after the UK that says, come, we'll give you visa on arrival If the welfareism of your government staff, for instance, you employ the doctors that you gave loans to go to school, and your salary structure cannot help them pay back their loans, you think they're not going to look for greener pastures? Nigerian doctors are sought out all over the world. So it means that there's something that we're doing right with our educational system here.
Yeah.
If you now put all of those resources into educating them, and you do not ensure that they get paid well, a doctor cannot send their own children to school, they cannot live, well, pay rent and buy cars for themselves, of course they are going to go abroad. So back to your question, it's not to say we're not going to train them or give them loans to ensure that they go to school. It's to move up the ladder and ensure that when they come out of school, they get good jobs and we retain them within our economy, so our doctors are not running away. Our scientists are very excited to break the atom in Nigeria and not run to Ukraine or Russia. It's to ensure that, but the ones who do not want to go into paid employment, to create their own employment for themselves, thrive well in Nigeria, stay in the economy and boost it. But if you say, they are always jackpotting, why are they jackpotting? Solve the problem. It's not to cut down on funding for education, because if you do not educate your populace, right now they compare Nigeria to Somalia. That says it all already. What's going to happen when you have a population of young people who are not well educated? They cannot do anything to help your own economy. Yes, they cannot even jackpot because they do not have the expertise. What happens to your own economy? We must ensure that our citizens are well educated, but after that education, that they also get well paid, enough for them to stay back in Nigeria.
Very, very true. And this, of course, drives us to something the Vice President Shatima did say. He alleged, actually, that Americans are coming to Nigeria for medical treatment. I do not know the fact to that particular matter. But if that is true, it means there's something, just like you did say, there's something obviously we're doing in our training that other nations actually are envying, and I think we should do that better.
Henry, let us quickly put that. Right? If you say that Americans are coming for medical treatment, is it the herbal treatment?
Well, he actually said they were coming in for kidney transplant. That was what he said. Disillusional
grandeur or grandeur disillusional. Whatever it is, I think it's also disillusion. Yes, we have fantastic doctors, and if they have good facilities in Nigeria, an American citizen or a citizen of the world will seek out a fantastic doctor, right? The reason our doctors leave is because they do not have the equipment to practice well. Do you get what I mean? So you educate them well. If you do not provide the facilities that will ensure that they practice properly and effectively, of course they're going to look for greener pastures. Yes, our doctors are fantastic. We just have to ensure that our hospitals are well equipped. The UCH has been in darkness for going on 90 days.
Very true.
Which American will come to UCH and come and do liver kidney transplant while you are holding torchlight? No matter how good the doctor is. That's your tertiary hospital. The biggest, your teaching hospitals are in darkness. Which American citizen will come to Nigeria to such a hospital, even if the doctor is the best in the world? They'll fly down doctor abroad. So let's be honest with ourselves and stop saying all of these political statements that are not true. There are 250 million Nigerians today. Our facilities, do they ensure that each Nigerian gets the best health care? Vice President Shetima, let's not lie to ourselves now, I beg.
Very true. Let's just leave it at that and hope for the best. Obviously, we hope that the Nelfund will do better. And the government equally must provide an enabling environment for those that have benefited from the Nelfund to equally put back what they have got into the larger society, so it could, of course, go round and around. Thank you so very much, Jumoke Alaude James. We truly do appreciate your time.
Always my pleasure to join you. Thank you very much, Henry. And to all the studio hands in the studio this morning, I say very well done. Excellent morning to you all.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate. All right, people, that's just about the time we have. Thank you so very much for being here, and most importantly, making the picture complete. But please do well to visit us. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We see you. Bye-bye.